town while dealing with it because we think, inoculated his body after contracting it at 8 years old.
Okay, and how does his machine work that creates the ice for all this project?
Yeah, of course. And then now this is a fantastic part. I told you earlier he doesn't actually benefit from others financially, but he does in terms of making an ice machine. So the ideas he puts together to actually form an ice machine, it's all things that he reads and learns from over the years. Compression. His first step is going to be a compressor here. By compressing air, he's learning to raise the temperature of the air. And when you cause friction with the molecules, the temperature gets hot. And when you release the compression, the air will expand and drop in temperature naturally. This is not something he makes up, but instead something he learns while becoming a doctor in Farfield, reads in one of the novels. So that's what he's going to use first, is compression. He then has that compression maintained inside this valve, filling it up full of hot air, and it expands into an ice box, as we later would know this. Now, he didn't invent the ice box either. It's just an insulated box. He maintained the temperature of something cold, but also hot if you put something hot inside of it. So he hopes as the air expands inside the box, it'll drop in temperature. Potentially adding water up top would allow it to freeze within the box, but he has a little bit of a hiccup there. He can't actually get to 32 degrees, which is what we need today to freeze water. And so he has to figure out what can he do to manipulate the box temperature before the air actually expands. And he learns from a gentleman over in Europe by the name of Mr. Fahrenheit. He invents the very first thermometer. If you didn't know that was a man, there was a man by the name of Mr. Fahrenheit. It impressed me as well. Mr. Fahrenheit uses a solution at the very bottom of his thermometer that he patents. It's called a brine solution. And if you don't know what brine is, we use brine to make ice cream today. So a lot of us, although we may not know what brine is, we do like it. As the majority of us like ice cream, as you can imagine. It's a saltwater mixture. And we also have a lot of salt water outside, just throwing that out there as well. So he puts a saltwater mixture in between the two layers of the box, cooling the inner layer to 26 degrees. He believes 26 degrees is adequate to actually freeze the water. And by today's standards, which I mentioned were 32 degrees, he's correct. So when he has the box at 26 degrees, air which is compressed and now expanding inside of it, dropping in temperature, it's acclimating to the box, super chilling the air. Which is why the nation says if he didn't add fresh water down the black valve, you would have found cold air exceeding out of here. This technically is a mechanical air conditioner. But this is not how he cools rooms. He cools rooms with blocks of ice. He doesn't want his hard work just running at the top of there. He wants to add fresh water. And when fresh water is pulled down here by gravity, naturally as it sits inside of a box at 26 degrees, it does freeze. Initially it takes him 24 hours, but he learns that water freezes from out to in. So if he drops the water, as opposed to just allowing it all to sit down there in a lump sum of water, it freezes faster as it drops down, hitting the bottom of the pan, sticking to the walls, making layers upon layers of ice, giving him a block of ice in 2 hours instead of 24 hours. So it's the same block in weight, it's still 4 to 6 pounds, but he can make 12 blocks of ice by 1851. In 1849, when he completed the ice machine, he was only making 1 block a day. So he does manipulate the machine to make more ice in his later years as well.
Well, how long would it take to get all the amount of compressed air he needs to?
Well, that's a big step, yeah. So the first step is you're not going to have air running through here. It's going to be trying to fill this valve. He believes that the